the world is alive, right? You don't have to take acid to realize that, but the world, but it helps. The world is alive, and when you're in this living being, whatever it is, composed of all these other living beings, it has as one of its qualities, it teaches you. Because like one thing I love to think about is who's the smartest person on earth, right? And what would the smartest person be like? And then I think, well, who's the smartest person I know? And what are they like? And then I try to, from that, imagine what if that pattern keeps getting more intense, more and more intense, more and more intense, more and more intense. Who would that person be like? Like, what does perfection look like, right?
Right.
So you go into nature and you instantaneously get a glimpse at perfection, right? You look at a flower, you look at any plant life, you look at most animals, and what you are taught is these things, they don't care about themselves. They don't seem to care about themselves. The personality, the ego, the identity. Obviously, flowers are not getting their hair blown out in the morning, and they're not concerned about anything at all. They just seem to be an expression of life into the universe. No ego, no personality, no identity. They're invisible. Right. There's a whole goddamn beautiful bush of these, I posted a picture of it, but someone told me, I can't remember the name of them, beautiful purple flowers, and like, I walk by them every day when I'm walking the dogs, and I've never noticed them, and then I looked over at them the other day, and the wind's blowing, and it looks like they're like dancing, or bowing, or bending, and then I got closer, I'm like, my God, this is a life form, this is like a living thing that I've been walking by every single day, and it doesn't give a shit if I look at it. It doesn't care if I look at it. We don't know what it cares about. It probably cares about nothing. No central nervous system, but it's alive and it's there. So if you take that as perfection, which I think it is, and then from that try to establish what a perfect, super intelligent person would be like, then from that you get this idea of what enlightenment might look like. A pure reflection of nature, unimpeded by the awful anchor of the egoic mind. Some universal radio station where the moment we tune into it, all of a sudden we get to hear a message that's being constantly broadcast throughout the entire universe in a form that is not adulterated by the culture or personality of the person who's gotten this information stream. Because these downloads happen throughout human history. They happen whenever there's a Buddha, whenever there's a Muhammad, whenever there's a world changer, a world shifter. They get these downloads. So the problem is that the download has a lot of static in it. And that static is whatever culture or whatever understanding of the universe that the information download has to go through. So that's why, when you hear these old myths or you judge a religion because they're using like very primitive symbols, you can still see there appears to be the same kind of energy flow coming through. The same kind of message seems to be coming through all over the fucking place. So
it's appearing into inescapable truth, processed by the filter of human ego.
That's it.
And culture and tradition.
Yeah.
And established beliefs that are unshakable.
That's it. Yeah.
Like this, where's the center of the earth? Things along those lines. Unshakable stuff that no one was willing to let go of.
Right. So when it finally is no longer being like obstructed by the fear dynamics or the cultural dynamics of the person who happens to have tuned into the frequency, then that message is going to be something so beautiful and profound. But I think it'll just be the same as finally catching like radio waves from a spaceship. You're just going to get a message.
Well, I feel like all these things were in place, especially at one point in time when we were evolving as a life form, that all these things were in place to make sure that we had reason to survive, to have ego, to have emotions, to have jealousy, to have all these things. These all ensured that your DNA passed. A sense of self and ego would make you sire a bunch of children, would make you, think very highly of yourself, would make you higher on the social community food chain, if you could establish yourself as a person of great value in some way. That all these things sort of made sure that our culture and our civilization survived to get to a place like today, that we continue to evolve and innovate, because we always, from even back in the time where things were extremely rare, we placed a lot of value on invention and big things. The cotton mill, the recordicator that processed hemp fiber that caused William Randolph Hearst to start printing fake stories about marijuana. That was because of the decorticator. That was because of an invention that might have interfered with his paper factories and his friends. That I think it had to do with Harry Anslinger and all these other fucking people that were alive back then. But a lot of times an innovation, an invention comes along, and the world realizes we will never be the same again. We have an electric-controlled wagon.
Yeah.
And that wagon's going to take us around the neighborhood. This is amazing. Yeah. And then they figured out steam engines and shit, and combustion engines and electric engines that on solar power. There's people right now that's in the universe. The idea of a stellar nursery being 100 million light years or whatever the fuck it is away from us. We can't imagine. It's not available to us. We still have the same little fucking monkey brain. And I was looking at this thing the other day of chimps where they showed we showed it on the podcast, the size of a chimp's brain in comparison to the size of his testicles. It's insane. They're really close.
No way.
His testicles are like that big, and his brain is like double the size of his balls.
No way.
Oh yeah. Look.
Oh God, that poor chimp. That's how he ended up. You poor guy. How sad.
So imagine with our balls, which are smaller than his, and our brains, which are larger than his, and then it's just going to keep going in that direction. But what we're dealing with here is just an advanced version of that. We need way better. We need a better meat wagon.
Yeah,
in order to be able to comprehend these numbers,
right?
In order to be able to figure out what does infinity mean? What does it mean? What is a stellar nursery? What is infinite space? What is time? What is gravity? What is all this? We're like repeating shit that these super fucking geniuses have worked their whole life on, and we're butchering it and ruining it in a podcast. But what we're all doing is we're all slowly but surely gonna go from being that chimp to being some new thing. To just continue to do it, to continue to grow, continue to process, and whether it's through technology or whether it's through manipulating our genetics, we're gonna become something that gets this whole thing. We're gonna become some new thing.
But here's the crazy idea, man. You're already that thing. This is where it gets really fascinating. It's like you're already that thing. That's the game. The game is you're already that thing, pretending you're not the thing, doing some form of recreation that involves being astounded by the infinite, enormous size of the universe because of your particular tiny little body. And so the game, that's the game that we're involved in. You already are everything, experiencing this very temporary illusion of being somehow not a part of everything. You already are the everything. Your atoms, your atomic makeup, those atoms inside of you, they're essentially infinite. They will go on forever. We've talked about this before, but that's what you are. You are infinity experiencing itself, pretending that you don't know anything at all. And so this head in the sand thing we were talking about, getting caught up with your bills, your relationship, your hair. Are my boobs symmetrical? Am I a good person? All of this stuff is a very temporary, fleeting experience that infinity is having as you. And so you are the thing. Like, no matter what technological enhancements that happen that maybe makes you live longer, maybe allows you to download your consciousness into a computer, experience 1 million orgasms at once, and any of these things, you're still you still are the infinite. These are just distortions in the field of experience. The idea is, and I think it's a very beautiful idea, you don't need the goddamn singularity to experience this. You don't need the singularity to experience being something greater than you. You don't need to become a transhuman. You don't need to become an H+. You don't need to get a chip, a neural implant in your brain. You can, if you just spend enough time sitting still, experience what it's like to have your identity dissolve for a second.
It's not that easy, though, to just sit still. And it's not just sitting still. It's sitting still with a method. It's sitting still with an understanding.
exercise is certainly one big part of it, man. But there's it's
all connected.
All connected.
There's no one thing
right.
that you don't need in that whole puzzle.
I think the main thing that you teach is that you don't have to be trapped in the gravitational field of whatever the particular life is that you happen to find yourself. And if you find yourself in a life that you don't like, if you find yourself in a situation that is not bringing you happiness, then there are ways that you can escape that gravitational field. It takes work.
And it takes time.
It takes a lot of momentum.
It takes time. And that's a big one. And a lot of people quit before they get through. I saw a crazy statistic, not a statistic, rather a meme, that is probably pretty accurate. It said 97% of the people work for the 3% of the people that didn't quit.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty good, man. But the whole quitting thing, failing, that's good too. You can fail.
You learn from that.
You learn, yeah.
It's negative and positive feedback are all important in the loop.
And the mind will tell you after you failed a certain number of times that you will never be able to do it. I mean, that's part of the thing. That's the other trick of the mind. The mind, there's a lot of tricks the mind has. One of the tricks the mind tells you, this is the main source of suffering for a lot of people, is that however you're feeling right now is permanent. So that's the number one, bad trip. That's one big source of it. You want to have a bad trip on acid when you're in hour 3, let your mind start telling you you're going to be like this forever. I'm going to be like this forever, man. This is never going away. 3 hours, I know this is never going to go away. It's never, and you will freak. You will freak out if you think you're going to trip for infinity, right? So in the same way, most suffering comes because people think, oh shit, man, this situation I'm in, it's always going to be like this. I'm always going to be fat. I'm always going to have a shitty job. I'm always going to be broke. I'm always going to be sad. I'm never going to get out of this hole. That's a lie. That's not true. If you look at your life, you've always experienced a change in your emotional state. You've always experienced a change in literally every single thing, from your body to your surroundings to your jobs to your girlfriends, boyfriends. It all is in a constant state of flux. So when you realize that, then you can let go of the panic that comes when you start thinking shit, this is going to be like this forever. No, it's not. It's not. It's going to change. Your situation will change. And once you start understanding that, then it gives you some room to work. It gives you some room to actually begin to make shifts or to do experiments, man. But the mind will tell you, oh, you have failed. Look, you got fat again. I got fat. I was working out nonstop. Equinox. I got my body fat down to 16%, Joe Rogan. For me, that's a big deal.
It's pretty good.
Because I get fat and I swell up. I throw those fucking beers down the old tube, 5 slices of fucking bread, a beer, and I pump up. I get fat. So then I went on tour and I got fucking fat again, man. And literally fat, overweight. Because my Equinox doesn't let you pretend that, I think I'm all right. They measure your body fat and oh yeah, you're overweight. So I failed.
What'd you get up to? Percentage?
I don't want to say, man.
Don't say that.
I'll tell you the percentage I got to by describing the look of sadness in my trainer's eye when the fucking printer thing came out. A combination surprise. He's like, wow, that's how fat I got. So I'm still a little fat right now, but it's diminishing. I've been working out 3 times a week, but god damn it, I'm going to keep fucking doing it. As a matter of practice, I'm going to get